Okay, boom. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flip Top Show. It's your host with the most key truth, host of Bird Benny Ball, want the word, want the flow. We coming to you live at 7:02, and this is some new news for you. So, boom. This could mean that marijuana, dro, reefer, heme, loud, zaza could be fully legalized after Trump just filed this order 4 days ago. And this could be a big thing for stoners, hippies, potheads of the sort. But it also could mean profit for the government, just like how they already taxing pharmaceutical drugs. So there's that too. But boom, we're gonna get right into this. Before we do, make sure you follow me on Kick, Twitch, Discord, IG, TikTok, Rumble. Height, share, hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell so you know what I say. Oh no, it's the new one. Like, share, hype. Hit that notification bell so you know when we live. And we gonna get right into this, man. Like I said, this is Trump basically putting in an order for the legalization fully of marijuana. Let's get into this.
Hi, I'm Tom Howard. You can find me over at collateralbase.com or cannabisindustryglory.com if you have questions on what's about to happen. It is 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern. One of the things that we have queued up for you is a QR code that you can use your phone to get right there. Whenever we have these types of things, you get email blasts alerting you that we're going to be live. We have a great guest on Sunday. Trump typically takes a few minutes before he goes. But if you want to get our email newsletter, please hit that QR code right there. And one of the other things that we'd like for you to do is don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm going to share something because we have a leaked summary of what is going to be coming up. So I'm going to present that now. However, we have this ready to go. That's the White House live feed whenever Trump steps up to the podium. He will be stepping up to the podium right there. The other things that we have ready to go for you is we can share this tab. These are his executive orders. This one has not come up yet. One of the things you may have seen, the stocks are kind of selling off right now. There's an old saying about, sell the rumor, no, buy the rumor, sell the news. Kind of have a sell the news event going on right there. That will happen. And then there was a small leak that happened. And so that is this tab. Let me get rid of the ads because Marijuana Moment, God bless them, but they do have a lot of ads. And they have the summary right here. He's going to direct the Attorney General to expedite to Schedule 3, direct top White House staff to work with Congress. And so he most recently did that with the AI bill. That was quite successful with the working together in Congress. Urged Congress to examine updating the definition of hemp because the current definition of hemp with that 0.4, that just ain't going to cut it. Because 0.4, that might, cut out all the full spectrum. And then, so he's going to also mention hemp. And then finally, we have one more aspect of it. Direct the United States Department of Health and Human Services to develop research methods and models to utilize real-world evidence and improve access to hemp-derived CBD products. Now, let's go back to the live news. It will be getting going here soon. Has anybody, it's like we can do a little bit of Q&A. Hopefully you are a subscriber. If not, please consider it. But who here is long the MSOS? Because right now it's only down 10%, but it's up like 100%. And we also had a couple of starred ones. Will this EO get odds above 50% for states 2.0 and Safe Banking Act in 2026? Perhaps. One of the aspects that they're going to be doing is calling out to Congress, urging them, what did the leak say? Direct White House staffers to work with Congress to give full patient access to no, I'm sorry, give patients access to full spectrum CBD products. So the full spectrum CBD products, that 0.4 milligram, that's not going to fly. Now, that is an interesting thing. He might be getting over his skis on that. One of the things that Trump can do, and with an executive order, they can move agencies, but they cannot move statutes. And so today is about speed, pressure, signaling this Schedule 3 legalization, but it's not instant legalization. So at Coolness, who threw us $4 or $5, thank you for that. That may get odds up. Whether it's over 50% or not, I don't know. I'm a very cynical person, especially after watching this issue for so many years and seeing how politics works. So I think we will see some movement. What movement? I'm not sure. We do have an election in November, and that might allow them to work together. But let's see what he's going to ask them to do. Also had a super sticker. Shout out to them, and we have plenty of other chats coming on in. So one of the things that he can do is he can direct Pam Bondi to finish up with rescheduling cannabis. It appears that has been leaked. He's going to direct the Attorney General to expedite that completion. It'll be coming up on your screen right there. He's not here yet, but he's coming. It'll be quite clear when he's here, but he ain't here yet. And this is kind of common. I said it at 12:30. I wanted to be on for you guys. Hopefully you're doing well. I had to cancel a phone call for this, but if it's worth canceling IRC 280E, do you have any idea how many clients and operators in the industry are going to amend their tax returns? It's going to be great. Now, Trump cannot reschedule this by executive order. That is ultra vires, which means beyond his power in like Latin or something. He may not like that term because it is in Latin, and also he thinks he has, ultimate power. However, rescheduling requires agency rulemaking, and that has been vested by Congress over to the DOJ, and the DOJ, who is headed by, of course, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, then delegated that authority to the DEA, who is now, I believe it's Terry Cole. It is the new head of the DEA. So as quickly as Pam and Cole can get together, we should see rescheduling, hopefully early next year. Now, there will be some notice and comments, and then SAM, one of the most ironically named NGOs out there, Smart Approaches Against Marijuana, Smart Approaches for Marijuana, is very anti. They've been having a pretty good conniption. So the president really looks like he's going to start the engine and rev it up and throw it over to Congress, urge Congress to examine updating the definition of hemp to ensure that full spectrum CBD is accessible to patients, and direct White House staff to work with Congress to give patients access to full spectrum CBD products. One of the things that I did not see leaked in any of these points has anything to do with safe banking or states 2.0. And then this one is interesting, Medicare coverage for CBD. That is what may also be ultra vires. That's 41 USC section 1395 W/102 for those who keep score of the United States Code. That's Medicare Part D. And then there's also FDA approval. That's also in 21 USC section 355. Now that's interesting because the only one that's approved is Epidiolex, and it's a Schedule 5, I believe, for CBD. And how would he be able to do this? Perhaps with a pilot program or demonstration program. We will see on what they're going to do on that. That one I'm most cautious about. Now, we don't have him up here yet. He'll be up shortly. Maybe we should just turn on some Cheech and Chong, and chill out until he steps up to the podium. But when he gets there, we'll all be ready. And I'll just plug our stuff one more time because, you're here. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you over at Cannabis Legalization News. And if you want our newsletter every week, we have the CEO of FlowHub. Miggy and I are getting pretty close to opening this dispensary. And if you want to follow along at that, there's our QR code. You can get our newsletters and you'll get alerts whenever we put out videos. I just put one out about the Cannabinoid Safety and Regulation Act. I don't think it's going to fly. And I don't think it's going to be mentioned. It seems like the only thing that he's really going to do, and by he, I mean, of course, Donald Trump, allow for full spectrum CBD products to be included. And that full spectrum typically was a 20-to-1 ratio. I don't know, but if Donald Trump can help HHS redefine hemp, they should earn the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize. But may not happen. One of the things that we like to do with the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize is, of course, okie dokie smoking. I'm going to roll our intro, and we will continue waiting and awarding fake peace prizes until Donald Trump steps up. We'll be right back with more cannabis legalization news. Maybe you haven't won the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize yet, but Hyazona wants one. We did not make one. That is an AI-generated peace prize. Only FIFA did this. So if you have any questions about what he's going to be doing, please get them into the chat. One of the aspects that we didn't see leaked, but probably is going to be there, is some type of clemency. Very important. I just worked out another script, but then this came up and sucked all the oxygen out of the room. It really did. And the next script that I'm going to do digs into the policy wrongs of Schedule 1 cannabis and how many federal prisoners there are. Right now, I believe there are less than 3,000 federal prisoners, but still 3,000 too many, of course. Okay. Separate from Trump's order, it says Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, the administrator for the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, will announce a new model on a number of CMS beneficiaries to benefit from receiving CBD under doctor recommendation. That does not mean prescription. That's different. At no cost. That is going to be one way that, talk about saving the hemp industry. One of the reasons why we had the Delta 8 THC sweep is because you couldn't get rid of all the CBD. Imagine if seniors through the Medicare program could have bought that CBD for free. It's a huge government subsidy for hemp that they're going to be announcing. So if you like huge government subsidies for hemp, let's see those thumbs up, because you may then win Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize. Only fictional, which is a made-up word for fictitious. Okay, rolling right along. Let's go check. Still waiting on it. Trump does this. He likes to be a little late. And let's see if they've updated the executive orders. You still have not. I'm going to be throwing these right now into the chat so you guys can follow along. The executive order looks like the last one was just a few days ago on December 15th. And I'm going to throw that into the comments if you're following along, so that when the executive order hits, you will be able to get it. That executive order will be coming maybe at the end of the day. We'll see. But I will do a full deep dive onto it. And, maybe explaining some of the questions you have, but the most legally sound thing that he can do will be the clemency, because pardons, that is in the Constitution. Absolute pardon power, Article 2, Section 2, actually, I believe. Not that we're going to pull that up, but if we have to fill time, we might. Now, a president can absolutely do that. The banking, didn't see anything about banking leaked. We'll see if they talk about banking. Now, the Congress has to pass these laws. So the Trump cannot reassign the scheduling of any drug, whether or not he uses an executive order or not. He can direct the Department of Justice to move it along, which is great. So this is wonderful. He is telling the Department of Justice what to do, or will be when he comes up. And we will have that live for reaction as it starts. It's not quite 20 past the hour, but he is about 14 minutes late. What would it mean for cannabis to be rescheduled to Schedule 3? First off, somebody else answered it. 280E that would no longer apply. Now, you might not know it, but if you're in the industry, you certainly do. You see, could you imagine if Starbucks was taxed at gross profits? For example, they would buy their coffee beans, right? They couldn't roast them. Maybe they could. Maybe they could roast them and try to put the roasting costs into inventory because it's not quite ready to use until it's been roasted. And so after the coffee beans have been roasted, then you prep it for sale. You package it, you grind it up, and then you put it into the coffee, and then you sell it to somebody. You would only be able to deduct the cost of goods sold, your inventory, your coffee beans. And then everything else would be considered, at least under the federal law, because many states have detached from this aspect of the tax code. Everything else would be considered profits. And so you would owe whatever tax rate you're at. This is one of the reasons why C corporations are so popular in the cannabis industry, because when a C corporation is audited, the audit stops at the C corporation level and doesn't flow through to the owners of the stock in that C holder corporation. Now, I think because of that, we should, again, award a Cannabis Legalization News Nobel Peace Prize. There we go. That's why you tuned in. Cannabis Legalization News for real legal tidbits and a little bit of zinginess. But that IRC 280E would go away. It would make all the operators that have been paying that tax probably file amendments for because tax years, they last for 3 years, look back to get audited. Interestingly enough, the last time Donald Trump was president, audits dropped off a cliff. May happen again this time. He did fire a lot of people at the IRS. We'll see. And then dispensaries, especially, don't name your dispensary Cannabis Dispensary LLC. Just don't do that. You're just asking the IRS to audit you. They would look at whether or not you paid all that tax. And so one of the reasons why I think Congress may actually act after they move it to Schedule 3 is that IRC 280E would no longer tax it on gross profits, but instead it would be like any other business. So you soak up all those gross profits with like marketing expenses. MJ Biz might be like bumping next year if it's Schedule 3 because they would have a marketing expense. It's one of the things that you really can't pay for, or you can, but you have to pay for it after taxes, as opposed to paying for it and all your staff and all your employees and everything like that, and then paying your taxes like any normal business. So the industry would become more profitable, which would also maybe allow for some restructuring of debts. Let's see what's going on. He's on Fox Live. It's live. Why is it not going to here? It says White House Live. I'm going to have to go over to Fox News. Isn't that how it would be? Like Donald Trump just would not put it on his own website. Watch Fox News Live. Play. I do not have a Fox News subscription. I have to go to Fox News on YouTube. You'd really think that it's whitehouse.gov live. Oh, he's coming. Okay, let's go back to it. Okay, he's finally getting here. And then audio.
Drug has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives if it's abused. It's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look, illegal and unregulated drugs, very, very bad thing. So I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from drugs. I have been, they would look at me and they said, Dad, would you stop saying that? I would say,
like, don't do drugs.
Looked at it practically.
As he signs an executive order.
Young Americans are especially at risk. So unless a drug is recommended by a doctor for medical reasons, just don't do it. At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered in some cases. This may include the use as a
I love how the
substitute
president
for
just said that.
addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers. They cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems. 40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider its classification of hemp-derived CBD to ensure seniors can access CBD products they have found beneficial for pain and other reasons. Some people are literally dying, and dying with tremendous pain, and this can, in many cases, literally stop it. And they have their senses about them, as opposed to painkillers, which
it's a descheduled substance. And so how can you do it with a descheduled substance? Epidiolex is like Schedule 5. That's going to be interesting. We'll do some coverage on that.
Exactly what we're doing. This is really something having to do with common sense. And it's something having to do with the fact that so many people that I respect ask me to do it. People that are having problems, big problems. They are having big problems with illness, with cancer in particular. I now want to ask Dr. Oz to say a few words, followed by Dr. Braun, Dr. Casseret, Dan Wiley, and Dr. Valcow. And we'll sign the order as soon as they're complete. And we'll take some questions. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for always bravely pushing for common sense change, as you call it. So President Trump, Secretary Kennedy have been pushing for change. They're passionate in their desire to help the American people, and they have relentlessly pursued this agenda throughout this administration. This also includes a deep passion for research, gold standard research, as Secretary Kennedy also says.
Maybe a pilot program.
But there's another side to the president that often isn't reflected in media reports, and that's the deep passion he has for the people in his life. And he has called me frequently about the people who are calling him, as he alluded to, who are saying that they've got problems and they got relief from some of the solutions we're talking about today. Howard Kessler, who's standing behind me here, was a mutual friend of ours, was an early caller of the president. Many others have ever reached out as well. And Howard's been a passionate advocate for avoiding narcotics, especially in seniors, and particularly seniors suffering from cancer. And that's a population that is a very important one. And it's a sympathetic population that's desirous of trying new ways besides some of the conventional approaches that have been tested by pharmaceutical companies but have untoward side effects. At the beginning of the year, one of the first things the president told me, he doesn't actually tell you, he demanded from me, that my agency, CMS.
Nobody demands from him. Nobody. You have to know him.
That's right. Go ahead. Use the whole tools at his wherewithal to find a better way to help seniors. A passion for a population that has gotten left behind with these discussions. I promised that we would find an answer, even though it had not been done before. And today we are delivering on that promise. Today, our Innovation Center at CMS is announcing a new model and additional actions to give seniors access to cannabinoids. These are CBDs. They're non-addictive, which many are already using to manage pain. There's some clinical evidence that's showing that CBDs provide relief from common conditions that affect Americans, including cancer symptoms and chronic pain and a slew of other problems that affect disproportionately seniors and our veterans. And 6 in 10 people who use the CBDs report that they improve their pain. I think all of those people are calling the president, judged on the number of calls in support of what we're doing today. And sometimes these decisions are difficult, and there's a reason this hasn't happened before. And there's a reason, Mr. President, that every president before you has whiffed on this issue. It's tough. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. That's why we're so passionate about making it clear that this patchwork that we're working within now, the laws and regulations, they're leaving patients and doctors without adequate guidance on the safeguards of how to use these products, even though they're still being used. At Medicare, we cover 68 million Americans, including people under the age of 65. And they did not have a way of providing these treatments until today. With the president's insistence, that's all changes. The Innovation Center models are going to allow millions of Americans on Medicare to become eligible to receive CBD as early as April of next year. And
April of next year, receiving CBD at no charge.
Thanks to the hard work of the entire CMS team, especially Abe Sutton and Gita Dio at the the Innovation Center, the accountable care organizations in this country working in Medicare will be able to provide these products, again, at no cost to patients. Medicare Advantage insurers, and we've been calling them, are also agreeing to consider CBD to be used for the 34 million Americans that they cover. If you can hear my voice and you're over 65, you should pay attention to this executive order because it's going to touch your life. Again, this all becomes active after the first quarter of next year. These CBD products must first meet local and state quality and safety standards. They must come from legitimate sources. And they must abide by other regulations of those states. With these boxes checked, patients can be eligible for up to $500 of hemp-derived products each year.
There you go.
This is the first
$500
government-led testing
The hemp
of
farmers
quality and outcomes
each
for
year.
patients across several
CBD.
conditions, and it delivers on the need for more data collection and research into hemp usage. CMS is going to collect data, that's our job, on the patients that are being given these products by their physicians. In accordance with all the privacy and security regulations, we're going to analyze that data. We're going to make it publicly available to everybody to be able to analyze with us. If it shows promise, we will expand access to these products to even more conditions amongst
Some data's
Medicare and
coming.
Medicaid beneficiaries. I
That's
want to
good.
thank not just the secretary, but Marty McCary. We want a lot of companies who are doing this research that approach the FDA for formal approval. That is the right way to move forward. And Jay Bhattacharya, who's hiding in the back, he rarely hides, but Jay runs NIH, and he's agreed to support initiatives to study the data that we're collecting. Howard Kester, God bless you for being a pain in our sides. Mr. President, he's promised to stop calling you. But on this issue, we'll call you on other issues. And I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking a difficult stance.
Thank you.
Trump has really earned his cannabis legalization news peace prize.
Members of the cabinet, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and for your leadership in rescheduling cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This decision will accelerate scientific research and expand what can responsibly be studied. I'm a cancer psychiatrist and medical cannabis researcher at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Over the past decade, federal investment in research has helped transform cancer care. People are living longer than ever before. But cancer care is not only about treating the tumor, it's also about addressing the anxiety, the fear, the stress that can come with a diagnosis, symptoms that can interfere with treatment and make recovery much
I like
more
how he has
difficult.
like scientists
Many
breaking
medications
it down
we
for
use
people.
for acute anxiety carry significant
Forget
risks,
Dr. Oz qualifies.
particularly in the older adults. That's why we're studying specific natural compounds found in cannabis, including the non-addictive cannabidiol, to understand whether they can
a
safely
lot
and
about
effectively
CBD.
help manage anxiety during cancer treatment. Rescheduling allows us to ask these questions rigorously about dosing, about safety, and who may benefit most. This research reflects the best of federal investment, helping people not only live longer, but live better. Thank you, Mr. President, for supporting careful science-based research that puts patients first.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. That's beautiful. Thank you.
All right, my vote of thanks, Mr. President. I never really thought this day would come. I met a patient about 20 years ago, a retired professor named Elizabeth, who came to my clinic. She was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she asked me then whether cannabis might help her. And I said no, because that's what I learned in medical school.
Oh,
She reached into her briefcase, took out a 3-inch tall stack of articles, put them down on my desk, and said, "Really, doctor? You should read these. You might learn something." And I did read those articles, every single one, and found a bunch more. And I did learn something. I learned that there actually is some medical benefit to cannabis that I had not anticipated, never heard about in medical school. Second, I learned that there was a lot we don't know. And third, I learned it's really, really, really difficult to do high quality randomized control trials of a substance that's federally illegal. This rescheduling has the potential to change all of that and to rewrite the way that we do research related to cannabis in the United States in 3 ways. First of all, it'll democratize the research process so that all academic institutions can participate in research, not just elite academic medical centers. Number 2, it'll give patients and researchers access to highly refined, reliable sources of cannabis rather than relying on 1 or 2 sources around the country. And last but not least, it'll let us do the sorts of large-scale randomized controlled trials that we do in oncology and
Yes.
endocrinology, not dozens of patients, but hundreds or thousands of patients. That's how we learn. That's how we produce valuable knowledge that's useful in guiding treatment decisions. Mr. President, without you, this never would have been possible. And my patients and I and all of our families are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, very much. Thank you very much.
yeah. Don't forget to put those
Mr.
claps
President,
going.
I am one of the national commander of the American region, representing 1.5 million veterans. We are the largest veterans organization. We have 2.5 million members
Bring
of our
down the
American
vets.
Legion family. And I want to start
Shout out to all the
thanking
vets.
you for your leadership on this issue. This issue is extremely important to the American Legion, and I want to thank you on behalf of the veterans who are going to benefit from potentially the research regarding this issue. Also want to thank you for your VA Secretary Collins, and his work on difficult veterans issues with us this past year. The VA has worked with us on our Be the One mission, which is a mission to fight the epidemic of veteran suicide. Veterans are disproportionately affected by conditions such as PTSD, TBI, depression, and chronic pain.
Wow.
And with this reclassification, it will allow research to be conducted with regard to cannabis. There is anecdotal evidence that cannabis benefits these conditions, and now we'll have an opportunity to see if research does prove that it is effective. And if it is so, then it'll open up a whole new method of treatment for our veterans with regard to this particular issue. And so, again, I just want to thank you for your leadership, and thank you on behalf of the American Legion for this executive order.
Thank you. Such great people.
Thank you very much.
That have suffered and will suffer a lot less now.
You're right.
Based on what I hear.
Good
Anybody
afternoon.
else, please?
I'm Nora Volkov. I'm Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And for us, rescheduling opens the door to actually be able to accelerate the rate at which we can do research and discovery. And research is crucial in order for us to, for example, understand what may be and for whom the dangers of cannabis. Yes, cannabis can be addictive.
Cannabis.
And certainly
I like how
people,
she says that.
adolescents and children
Saying
may be the
the
most
whole time.
vulnerable. But we cannot close our eyes to research and the opportunity that we are hearing from patients that for some of them, cannabis can solve their problem. And so what we need to do is do
Selling
research,
off.
number one, to understand what are those conditions. Number
It's
two,
not
in
too bad,
order
like
to be able to
13%.
optimally learn how to use it. And to
It's called
understand, number
Why the
three,
Rumor,
who is
Tell
at
the News.
danger. And it is knowledge that will allow us to optimally
Shout out
benefit,
to Jordan members.
take the benefits
Jordan?
that may be behind cannabis, as research shows, but on the other hand, also enable us better to do prevention interventions to protect those that are most vulnerable. So thanks very much.
This is a great
Good job.
thing.
Thank you.
This
very
is really,
much. Thank you,
um,
Doctor. Bobby, do you have something to say?
Very good.
I'll just echo, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and vision and finally getting to closure on this issue. This is a question, a scientific question, that has divided our country for many, many years. And there are valid claims on both sides. On one side, patients and physicians attest that cannabinoids and THC can be
Donald Trump signs executive order reclassifying marijuana as Schedule 1. Well, what could the impact of that be? Georgia State Representative Greg Bell joins us right now. Representative Bell, glad to have you on the show. Walk us through this. What does this actually mean? What is the impact of this executive order by rescheduling marijuana on the federal crime level?
Hey, good to be with you, Roland. How's it going today?
Great.
Great. Pleasure to be with you from the great state of Georgia, where we believe in the green economy.
Okay, so walk us through what is this by the reclassification? What does it actually mean?
All right, so it means that we'll be able to get marijuana products, CBD products, as over-the-counter medication, just like over-the-counter medication. Marijuana was classified as a psychoactive drug, a Schedule 1 drug, along the lines of LSD, heroin, and meth. Now it's being reclassified, such as Tylenol, a sleep aid, aspirin, NyQuil. So no longer will it be scheduled as a drug or a narcotic substance, meaning that One cool thing, say it again?
No, go ahead.
One cool thing that means is for a lot of those that want to invest in marijuana, that they have more safer investments now that prior to the industry, what you would see was a lot of individuals having money, getting financing. You in Georgia, I know a couple of businesses that actually had their bank accounts closed because they were quote unquote dealing with narcotics. So now you also have individuals that would be able to get loans, business applications, bank accounts as well, who are working in the marijuana industry.
Okay, so on that particular point there, as it relates to individuals who have been convicted, so this doesn't have an impact on convictions, correct?
Not at all. This does not have any impact on convictions. If you have been previously convicted, have an arrest record due to marijuana substances, this does not change that at all. Unfortunately, this
does it impact federal law enforcement? So, for instance, when Donald Trump, when he put all of these federal law enforcement officials and National Guard on the streets of D.C., they were stopping people saying, "Hey, you can't smoke marijuana on your porch or outside." So, what impact does this have on law enforcement and marijuana?
Well, federal law enforcement shouldn't be enforcing those policies anymore now that it's a top scheduled as Tylenol or a normal over-the-counter medication. Where the difficulty was coming with local law enforcement, your state patrol, your city police, your county police, your sheriff.
No. I don't mean local. Yeah, I don't mean local. What I mean is now with this reclassification as Schedule 1,
Mm-hmm.
that means federal law enforcement, will they be, will marijuana be still criminal? Or is there a certain amount of marijuana that you have to have? And so what is this by reclassifying as Schedule 1, what does it mean for that?
Well, for that, again, the one thing means interstate transfer. You would be able to move across state lines with amounts of marijuana. Previously, before individuals would get cases, RICO cases, if they were moving marijuana across state lines. Now that it's been federally declassified, the DEA, CIA, FBI, all those letter organizations shouldn't be going or prosecuting individuals for having marijuana. Now, while looking at the policy, it doesn't have a specific amount that I've been able to find yet of how much a person should, or could have on them now that it's been declassified. But the prosecution or the prosecution of a person due to having this controlled substance federally, I want to draw that, like we said, we spoke about federally, there's a big distinction between federal, state, and local.
Yep.
Federal, those agencies should not be prosecuting people. We still have a lot to learn, as it was just declassified. They didn't have a number amount or a weight amount associated with the declassification. So theoretically, there could be, say, if you have 10 pounds of marijuana in a legal state, again, even though it's federally declassified, if your state hasn't declassified, you will still be at risk of being charged for a crime, marijuana crime. But again, federally, you will be protected.
Gotcha. So it's a whole lot to unpack once they get really, I mean, it's not like his executive orders are actually specific. So once we get more information, we'll have a better understanding of exactly what all this executive order covers.
Oh, yes. So just to be safe, do not smoke or roll marijuana in front of the police just because this order has happened. Again, your state laws have not changed. This does not mean you can go to your weed man, your plug, and go get an ounce or whatever you need and say, well, it's now such as Tylenol. Depending on your state law, your state code, your local ordinances, you still could be prosecuted. This is more so a business move, rather, I see, than actually helping people have access to safe marijuana products or having access to medical health care. Some of the biggest players in this are pushing from the cannabis lobbyists, not from like any lobbyists. I don't think real lobbyists care about people. It's about cents, coins, and dollars. You had stock falling in the cannabis industry. You had individuals
Yep.
having trouble with investments and growing the cannabis industry. So I really see this as more of a capitalistic ploy to make more money. While I do agree with it, let's not be hoodwinked or bamboozled to think that President Trump cares about us.
I absolutely agree. So I wouldn't be surprised to be learning in the next weeks, days, or weeks that he has some kind of cannabis investment. So that would not shock me at all.
Well, I know Medicaid they are piloting a Medicaid program for CBD with this. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got Trump Kush next week or Trump cannabis or something to that effect where he has his hands in it again. I think we have a very narcissistic president that's only in office to stay out of jail and build wealth for himself on the backs of the American people. And although I do agree with this policy, we will soon see how much more wealthy the president will make or become after this declassification.
All right. Representative Bell, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Anytime, Roland. And thanks for what you're doing to keep spreading the message and fight the power.
This is a question, a scientific question, that has divided our country for many, many years. And there are valid claims on both sides. On one side, patients and physicians attest that cannabinoids and THC can have miraculous effects on chronic pain, on epilepsy, on PTSD, on chemotherapy-induced nausea. My friend Howard Kessler, without whom we wouldn't be here today, drove this change in the schedule. And he did it because of his own experience in mitigating the impacts of chemotherapy. Is nothing to gain from this. He just saw something that worked for him, that worked for thousands of other Americans, and he wants to make it available to them. Yes. On the other side, there are valid claims about the negative impacts, about addiction, about psychosis, about adverse public health impacts, and impacts particularly on young people. So we haven't the evidence on all of these is anecdotal and it's hypothetical because we have not been able to do scientific studies. There is no standardized dosing. And if you don't have standardized dosing, any study that you do is comparing apples to pears. And we don't know the difference between botanicals and synthetics, and all of these questions we're now going to be able to answer. 5 administrations have promised to act on this issue. The Biden administration promised to do this, and the proposal began during the Biden administration. It got mired down in the chaos and inertia and disorganization and I want to thank President Trump, who made the promise during the 2024 election that he was going to come in and solve this issue, that he was going to take decisive action, and he has kept that promise today. And so thank you, President Trump, for your vision. And because of that, we will have answers very soon. This will finally allow us to study this issue and to answer these questions for the American people.
Howard Kessler, a friend of mine, one of the most successful people in the country, came to see me on more than one occasion, actually. And he had some real difficulty about 3.5, 4 years ago. And he went through hell. And during his going through hell, he probably sampled everything you can sample when you're going through that, Howard. And he came to me, he said, there's been nothing like this.
Major shift could be coming to how the federal government classifies marijuana. Sources say President Trump could sign an executive order Thursday that would reclassify it from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 3. That kind of reclassification could impact how marijuana is researched and used for medical purposes.
This is the first significant change in the federal government's posture toward cannabis in over 5 decades.
Paul Armentano is with the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, also called NORML. He says the organization has fought to move public opinion to legalize marijuana use for responsible adults. Still, he said what's been leaked about the executive order isn't addressing all that they've called for.
So symbolically, that's a big deal. Practically, there is still major changes that need to occur at the federal level in order to harmonize what the states are doing with cannabis with respect to how the federal government views cannabis.
Armentano said the organization wants to see cannabis removed from the Controlled Substances Act altogether.
Similar to how alcohol is not included in the CSA, which is why states have a significant amount of authority and autonomy when it comes to how they choose to regulate alcohol within their own borders.
Legalization of marijuana has had many outspoken critics. University professor and political expert Nolan Higdon said many of those critics point to a lack of research.
We don't have a lot of research on marijuana because of the way it's been scheduled previously. One of the things folks have brought up who oppose legalization at the state level, that we're legalizing this product we really haven't researched well, and now we're starting to kind of see what some of the outcomes of usage are. So I think that also could be something to watch down the line as well.
While the signing of the executive order is expected Thursday, a White House official warned that the timing could shift. In the East Bay, Zach Fuentes, ABC 7 News.
Donald Trump signs executive order reclassifying marijuana as Schedule 1. Well, what could the impact of that be? Georgia State Representative Greg Bell joins us right now. Representative Bell, glad to have you on the show. Walk us through this. What does this actually mean? What is the impact of this executive order by rescheduling marijuana on the federal crime level?
Hey, good to be with you, Roland. How's it going today?
Great.
Great. Pleasure to be with you from the great state of Georgia, where we believe in the green economy.
All right, man. So basically, now I got more clarification on it. So they're saying that this bill, this executive order that Trump put in, could mean that you would be able to go to your neighborhood pharmacy and be able to get marijuana over the counter, like as Tylenol, like as if it was Tylenol, NyQuil, or any other type of medication. Now, like what the dude said, the Jordan dude said, he said, don't go down the street and start rolling up in front of the police. But it just means that it's gonna be easier to do more research and it's more profitable for the government. Really, that's what this law is changing. But it still is considered a Schedule 3 drug, so you still could be convicted for it. So in a way, it's helping people. In a way, it's not. Like the elderly people that are trying to receive it for the CBD purposes of, health wise and pain wise, that helps them. But other people will still be able to fall victim to being convicted for it if they are found with too much of it, vice versa, whatever. But it's crazy though to sit there and say that you might be able to. I mean, shit, they got Delta 8. They got Delta 8 at the smoke shop already. It's like you could just get that shit at the smoke shop. But they're saying THC, full THC, no CBDs, being able to just go to the store and pick up your meds as if they were real meds, man. That's crazy as hell. But that's a big thing. Shout out to the marijuana legalization lawyer and his channel. What was it? His name is Cannabis Legalization News. Shout out to bro. As well shout out to Roland S. Martin and the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Podcast Digital Show. Yeah, man. That's gonna be it for that. Make sure you like, share, sub, hype. Hit that notification bell so you know when I'm live. And follow me on Kick, Twitch, Discord, IG, TikTok, Rumble. Hit that notification bell. We gone.